So we decided to go only for the suppliers as our main clients and distributors. We see there's a big opportunity there rather than trying to sell produce to restaurants and food service clients or end users.
To having 11 to 50 employees, what qualities did you look for in early team members? How did you maintain the company culture, especially coming from the same ideology as Jorge and like towards the service industry itself?
Yeah, that's very important. I had a boss once that told me that you always have to hire people that is more talented than you. So that always has been my philosophy. Always challenge myself by hiring people that I consider way more brilliant than me, more technical than me, more analytical, better in communication. Like I'm very strict and disciplined, and I'm very results oriented. Don't take everything so personal, and don't take everything that affects you. Just try what your gut tells you, because normally intuition is right. With experience, with information, just take as much as you can and do it. Well, I think what we really want is make their life easier. And we, before developing this second product, let's say, we talk a lot to them. Also, we have our own experience. We know what worked, we know what didn't, and we came with a MVP. Now it's an actual product, like a complete product working, but we're still having in the roadmap some features that we want to add, because we know it's something that is going to help them. So I'm going to start for what we currently have.
Welcome to the New Shane podcast, where we talk to inspiring people of inspiring startups. Today, we are here to dish out the story of Alima, the best online food marketplace for businesses. Alima is like a perfect personal shopper for your restaurants, caterers, and cafes. It's like having Gordon Ramsay by your side, minus the yelling, of course. They give you a search engine, price comparator, order management, and fast delivery services as if all the Avengers are ready on the go. And like the Avengers, Alima is out there saving the world by cutting down on food wastage percentages. From farmers to Michelin star restaurants, Alima connects every link in the supply chain. Let's dig in and learn all about Alima's journey. And since this startup is fresh from the farms, we'll keep everything as organic as possible. Or we'll try. So please give it up for the co-founder of Alima, Blanca Espinosa. Hi Blanca, how are you?
Hi, Akshat. I'm good, thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
So our pleasure. We are always on the lookout for startups who are doing some inspiring things in the field, and especially when Alima has been a part of YC and just the product, the way it has hit the market. It's really amazing to follow up with your story. So I would like to start with a question. What inspired you and Jorge to start Alima, and why focus on the food service industry supply chain?
Yeah. Well, we both come from Mexico City. Mexico as a country has a very fragmented industry. Like there's a lot of players, a lot of suppliers and intermediaries. So the supply chain becomes really complex. There's no standardization. So we saw a good opportunity there to, let's say, enable either suppliers or clients like restaurants, hotels, hospitality, and enable them with technology so they could basically improve the way it works. So I think the inspiration comes from probably more developed countries where we had the opportunity to visit or to live, where we have seen like there's a better way to do this, right? So Jorge comes from a town called Tulancingo, where he saw a lot of producers struggling with the way they sell, not having fair prices, not having an scalable and sustainable way to grow. and I lived a couple of years in Spain, so I also saw other way of management in this industry. So yeah, basically, I think it's a mixture of all that. So plus our passion for technology, both of us. He has a strong background in analytics. He's a data scientist, so he obviously is building all the technology we have. And I've worked previously for companies like Uber and Amazon. So my passion is to build things, make them grow, and using technology to enable all this.
That's great. Like when I'm hearing people with experience like yourself, and especially on the part where like you can relate to the struggle around you and build something on that. It's really just fascinating to come up across stories like that. But of course, like this is the glorious part, doing the good deed, like helping the society around you, building a product that helps everyone. But of course, some of the people, they are unable to see the challenges that you must have faced. So I would like to ask you, based upon that, like what were some of the most significant challenges you faced in the early days, especially in terms of technology integration and supplier onboardings?
Yeah, you touch a very good point, and actually, I would like to take advantage of that. So I can maybe share what we're currently focused on. So we decided to go only for the suppliers as our main clients and distributors. We see there's a big opportunity there rather than trying to sell produce to restaurants and food service clients or end users, because in the first phase, let's say of Alima, we were connecting the producers with the clients. Everything was working really well. We were growing. However, it's a model that needs volume, a lot of volume to become profitable and to scale, right? So a couple of years ago, the raising capital environment was really difficult. So we had, the vision of it's going to be really difficult to continue in this model if we don't raise crazy amount of money, right? So we can actually be profitable, which is also what investors are looking for nowadays. So we had the option of continue doing what we were doing, and being the supplier itself, using technology, providing restaurants and hotels and all this, that it was going well. There's a big opportunity there. There were also big players in the market doing the same with way more capital than us. So we had the option of continuing that path and see what happens, or the option of, okay, becoming a light asset company, stop doing operations, stop doing warehouse, stop doing logistics, and come back to our core, which was technology. And then using that same technology that helped us to grow so fast, because in the very first version of Alima, we grew like probably 3,500 clients, just with the platform we had, and only in Mexico City. So what we did is, okay, let's use all the experience we have. Let's use all the technology we already built for us to be able to grow, and then convert it in a SaaS solution with e-commerces for traditional suppliers. Because by by operating in the industry, we realized that the traditional suppliers, which are like very important part of the supply chain in the food service industry, are really, really not digitalized, are really not using technology. So we were using it. We were one of the very few suppliers using tech. So we said, what if we, instead of continuing the same path that is very expensive, that is like a long, long term for us to be profitable, we sell the technology that we already built for us and that we proved that help us to grow fast. And then we enable traditional suppliers with online stores so they can expand and scale their commercial team. So that's what we're doing currently. So I think it's implicit in all what I said, the challenges we face, because a pivot is facing a big challenge. You don't know how long it's gonna take. develop the new product. You don't know how well it's going to be accepted. So you have to talk with as much users as you can. So there's a lot of uncertainty. However, at this point, we feel very happy and very satisfied with the product that we launched, I think, 4 months ago. This is super new. We're getting a lot of traction. We're getting a lot of suppliers giving us good feedback on what they are using, especially because we are giving them something like automatic invoicing. Like the invoicing system in Mexico and in Latin countries is very complex because the tax government entity asks a lot of requirements and specific things for us to generate an invoice as a, let's say, as a business owners. So there's no softwares enabled for them from the government, like easy to use. So we are becoming like this, company and SaaS service for them, so they can find an easy and better way to manage their business, to manage their orders, clients. We give them reports, like we give them things that for us, coming from the background we come, are a given. But believe me, like for traditional suppliers, it's like, wow, this is a whole new world for them. We are also helping them with giving making promotional campaigns using WhatsApp. WhatsApp, it's pretty big in LATAM. um, and email marketing campaigns, like easy things for us that are really like new things for them. So yeah, like the path is full of challenges, but like I think that's the interesting part of being in the startup ecosystem. Now it's full of challenges all the time.
Speaking of challenges, it's imperative to like keep in touch with your roots, and especially when you talk so passionately about your user group who are currently based in Mexico along with you. So, how did starting in Mexico shape Alima's development and strategy in the early stages for you guys?
Well, I think Mexico, it's a country that has a lot of potential in terms of exportation, for instance. Well, it's not only that has potential, like it's already uh, very, very intense in exportations. However, we think that is because Mexico is not prepare already to be a more fair market internally. So it's like you get 4 times what you that you can have exporting than trying to sell it internally. So that's one of the, I don't know, maybe it's a microeconomic example, but in general, the people, it's very hard worker, but at the same time, the opportunities that you have as a low middle class person probably don't let you to get in touch with technology as the one probably we're trying to enable now to suppliers, because it's just like education system in Mexico, it's not that advanced. Public system, I'm talking about public system, which is where the majority of the people has access to, right? So for us, it's an opportunity at the end, because you get more people that don't really know how working with this type of technology is. But also you find a lot of people that is really eager to grow their business, and they just want to make more money. Who doesn't, right? So being in a country like Mexico, where things are not easy, where people, it's made self, where people try to find the best way to maximize their incomes and utilities, it's, I think it's a type of culture where we find our product, or our our product, which is the vision, or the mission that we always share, is we made procurement or supply chain easy for people, but using technology, right? So yeah, I think it's a mix of what you find in people culturally with what we are providing, that it's making a good match, and that also is giving us obviously the triggers for setting features, and more than the culture and the people, because at the end, you it's like think in every part of the world is the same. I think the most important thing, and even in YC, it's something that they are telling you all the time, is talking to your users, and as a founder become a seller. So we are selling all the time, we are talking to suppliers all the time, we because other way you cannot actually set a sell process. You cannot actually set like selling routines, and you don't understand the selling cycle. So at the beginning, and now for us is, let's say, a new beginning, because we changed all our model. We are the people on the ground right now, as the same way we did when we founded the company back in 2021. When we started the last model, like, we were the people on the ground understanding how this thing could scale, how the sales team had to be uh, settled, and what are the different incentives and commissions that you need to give them, all those type of things. uh, but only talking to users and only really selling on the ground is like how you understand. So
So, for any early stage startup, YC is a major breakthrough, and it must have been in your case as well. So, can you share your experience securing funding from a notable accelerator like Y Combinator or an investor like Soma Capital? Like, what was the key to catching their attention in your case?
well, it was a very interesting experience, the one we had applying and going through YC. It's amazing experience. We would love to have gone, but we were here in Mexico because it was still the remote program. We did winter 22. And then when we applied, well, the very first time we applied, I said we, but it was actually only Jorge with the idea. But they gave him as feedback, you need to come back with a more solid team. So then is when he connected with me and with the former other co-founder we had. So we decided to apply again. When we applied, we already had run a pilot. This pilot was very simple, like very few technology. It was basically us delivering products and making sure that the problem existed, like making sure there were restaurants wanting not to go to the Central de Abastos to get their supplies, and actually make an order to someone remotely, either like a Google form or whatever, and then having us delivering the products and leaving all the experience of the logistics. So we had probably 30 clients, and with that small pilot, it's that we applied to YC. Uh, we applied to YC, and they said you have to generate more traction so you can validate your model, your business model is like solid. So we came back and we generate more traction. We grew double digit, and then we came and we showed the results, and they said, "Okay, welcome to YC." That was probably in December. So the process was long, but it worth it. And I think that space or that experience prepared us for what the actual YC experience would be. So during YC, you have different, sessions, mentoring, office hours with the YC partners, and then you have to prepare for the demo day. That's the final goal. So internally in the company, it's very intense what is happening, because we're you have to split your time as a co-founder of YC, but also keep running the company and try to be able to reach the goal that you set, right? So because in demo day, there's a lot of investors looking at you and maybe investing in your company for the results you show. So yeah, at the end, we were able to raise some money, like after we came out of the batch. It was very interesting experience, but I think to prepare the team to live in in that pace is really good and is really healthy, because at the end is the actual pace that you have to always be alert, always be ready for what's next, and always be fast, having hypotheses, testing experiments, changing. So all this iteration, it's very important for startups. So I think that YC is a good experience, but for raising the bar and see how far your team and you can go, and then try to maintain as long as possible and healthy as possible, without a lot of stress and things like that. That environment, that vibe.
What was the key to catching the attention after YC? You were in a good position. You just went through one of the largest, if not the biggest accelerator in the world. And you were in a position, okay, now we have secured a funding. We are good to go. We are expanding our team. What was the key to catching their attention for Soma Capital's case?
Well, I think the results, like numbers, at a still early stage as we were growing like probably 20%, 30%, things like that. So it's a good growth rate. So I think what was the key to get their attraction, I think, results and the story you're telling. But what makes you as a team internally reach that is, I would say, the discipline, like, build teams that make sense. In terms of technology, also, I love growth, in tech companies. So we used a lot of campaigns, to retain, to attract, to convert. So all those growth metrics, and all the growth cycle, and even win back. Like, if we were seeing a customer did not an order, didn't place an order in a period of 2 weeks, we would probably call that client and understand what was happening, and win back that client. So running all those campaigns and being able to show a consistent growth, and consistent growth is not growth through acquisition and getting more clients, but retaining them. Have like a long run flat curve for retention, where you are actually not losing a lot of customers, but they continue ordering week after week, which was the time frame that we also were measuring back then. I think that's the key. Like, retention, it's something that always it's gonna attract VCs uh, attention, because at the end is in my opinion, is the more reliable metric as a founder, because the other metrics can be buy, right? Everything with money is possible, but not retention. I think retention talks a lot about on what's the type of product you are building, how sticky is this product to the customer, how good in this case for us also it was the service level. So we set up a lot of metrics to evaluate our own team, how they were doing in terms of logistics. Service rate, on time rate, was never below 90%. So 90% of the times we were on time. Why? Because you are talking about food service industry. Food service industry is not a house where you can receive your groceries like any time of the day and it's fine. It's not like Amazon. It's more like, okay, I need my groceries, my supplies by 8 a.m. because 9 a.m. I start my production, because 10 a.m. I open place. So it's critical for their operation, the service level you have. So as suppliers, there's a lot of suppliers, but there's a lot of suppliers that don't succeed precisely for that. They don't have a way to measure their teams, how they are doing in on-time rate and how they are doing in fulfillment rate. Like, how how many times an order that you are delivering is not complete, because that's gonna piss our client. That's gonna make him feel frustrated because they needed the groceries and then they have to go to the supermarket and have it. So yeah, it's I think more like those metrics that make you have better results, and with results you can get investors attention, and also how you are doing versus your competitors, how you are differentiating, like all that. Because here there was a big competitor, but they were specialized in small restaurants, whereas we were differentiating by attacking all those big chains and big restaurants and corporatives and enterprise companies. More, it was more our target. Um, Also because we were specialized, always we were specialized on fruits and vegetables, not like proteins and all those things. So yeah, we were more, the strategy was more, okay, let's go to get those big fish, but in a very specialized way. Whereas the other competitor was trying to sell everything, but to smallest players, smallest clients.
So, as a founder, when you're looking at quality in your service in your product, of course, you'd also look for the same level of quality in the employees that you hire. So, once you secured your funding, and as Alima grew from a small startup to having 11 to 50 employees, what qualities did you look for in early team members? How did you maintain the company culture, especially like coming from the same ideology as Jorge and like towards the service industry itself?
Yeah, that's very important. I had a boss once that told me that you always have to hire people that is more talented than you. So that always has been my philosophy. Always challenge myself by hiring people that I consider way more brilliant than me, more technical than me, more analytical, better in communication. Like I'm very strict and disciplined, and I'm very results oriented. So I try to find people that it's actually raising the bar in what we're doing. But here there is another challenge that I didn't tell you at the beginning. My previous experience working in tech companies, it's very different than working like as a founder in a startup, right? Because in a tech company, obviously you are working on a product that is already post product market fit, so it's easier to get clients and all that. But also in terms of talent, you always have a recruiting team that normally is brilliant and makes all the filters for you, and then they just give you a set of people that is like you only have the tough decision of selecting, okay, who's the best out of all these talented people, like because all of them are talented. So even if you hire not that well, uh, the outcome uses to be good. But what happens when you're a founder? What happens when you never were looking like from scratch hiring people, and you don't really want to use agencies because you want to do everything yourself because you are an early stage co-founder, so you have to do it everything. So at the end, probably the challenge we faced is we weren't looking for in the right way at the beginning. So it's not that the people is not talented, it's probably their profile, it's different from what you need, and their expectations are different. So one thing that I'm becoming more educated and try to be learning more about is how to hire, how to look for profiles that make fit with your company. Also take seriously this cultural fit, um, to hire someone, because maybe there's something in this person that, even though is brilliant and even though it's technical skills, probably the values or the attitudes, the way you see yourself working at a company, it's not the same that the one you have as a founder, and that you always try to go down in all the company. So yeah, I think that was very important for us. Obviously, I'm not telling you I did a lot of mistakes. I'm telling you I hired everything perfect. But yeah, I think what we try to do is be not try to hire that fast. So we take our time until we find the right person, because at the end of the day it can cost you way more if you do not made a thoughtful decision in terms of hiring, especially for all those key hiring positions. So yeah, that would be my learning, and that's what I'm trying to do now with new hires, is like, okay, take the time to understand if there's cultural fit, take the time to understand if there's the right specific skills we need. uh, that part is difficult because at the end you are, startups, and sometimes the game changes very quickly. So someone that you hire for a specific position now is doing another thing. So you need this type of startup profile that is more generic, generalist, that it's a person that has all the drive to do, like to become and to um, face every challenge possible. Like it's someone that needs this that has this, let's say, it's hungry, of having more challenges, of building difficult things, of questioning. I love when my team is questioning all the time my decisions and why I'm doing this, and they find different things and better things to become, or to solve problems. So yeah, I think it's more about that, and to
It's
find the
also the
drive.
sense of ownership that you might expect from your recent hires, like the new team members you're adding. Like the word that you just mentioned, to have the same drive, to have the same hunger. And very few startup
Yeah,
founders, they mention this as a challenge, like you just did. Your early hirings can be a challenge. And aligned with that, because at the same time, you have another challenge, which is to attract your first customers. You have the product, you have the funding, you have the
yeah.
team. Now what? So, how did you manage to attract your first customers, and what strategies proved most effective in building trust with businesses, especially in the Horeca sector that you're operating within?
Yeah, yeah. You mean building trust with the clients, right? Okay, yeah, yeah. It's crazy. And also how you, like, one part that is still related to the team is how you replicate yourself and teach the other person to have the same interest and curiosity about the customer. Because normally when you hire someone with a commercial profile, it's more towards the money. Now it's like, okay, I'm gonna sell because I want my commission and I want my bonus and all that. But it's not about that. It should be more about what the customer wants. How can I get more out of the customer, how this customer can increase their basket with us, how I can make this customer stay more time with us. So yeah, that's also like very interesting thing that you have to solve. But yeah, talking more about the customer, building trust now with suppliers, I think has been more organic for us. Why? Because we were suppliers. We were suppliers. Food service industry is difficult. Clients sometimes don't pay to suppliers. Clients ask for credit to suppliers. So normally the suppliers are the one, being treated not as well. Um, and the restaurants, they just want to sell. They just want more people showing up in the restaurant. So they have like different incentives. And I would like to talk more about how we gain trust from the suppliers. First of all, because you can talk from the same experience, right? It's like, I understand you because I was a supplier. I know how hard it is to deal with, hospitality and food service clients. They can become really cruel. They can become not good payers. So I feel you. So that's the very first time, very first thing that they connect with us very well. Like, yeah, you know what I'm living. So the second thing is do this discovery talks with them. So normally we prospect. It could be cold prospection, could be digital, in person, events, whatever. Name it. You just find where they are, and then the very first call or approach is, we have this awesome product that make your life easier. So let's talk. It's not gonna be more than 15 minutes. They normally say yes because they are not in such a rush like restaurants. Restaurants are operating, having customers 24/7. Well, not 24/7, but like almost all day long. Suppliers are different because suppliers during the day, in the morning, they are delivering their orders, but then they do office work normally after half day. So this is the time where we can connect with them, where we can talk to them. If it's possible, we do in-person sessions. If it's possible, we do remote sessions, whatever is possible and easier for them. And discovery calls are good because you understand really what they're struggling with. So we have two different use cases for New Alima in the suppliers space. One, it's the person or the customer persona who wants to sell more and uses us as a platform to sell more through the online store, through the campaigns we can build together. And then the other use case is you have suppliers that are struggling with admin stuff. So for them, we have all the invoicing system that is automated. We have payments conciliation, which normally are handled by accounting teams very manually. So we have all that in the platform in the SaaS. So the discovery call is for that to connect and to generate this trust because you cannot you cannot just go and sell your product. That's what I think. Probably there's people who can do this. You cannot just go and say, oh, these are all the features we have, blah, 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 before knowing what side is this customer persona. Is this person struggling with sales? Is this person struggling with admin stuff? So that's why you need to understand where's their pain, and then you go with your sales pitch on, okay, then I have this solution or I have this other solution. So I think that's the way we generate trust. And then the onboarding is super important because we're talking about not super tech savvy people. They know the basic stuff, but some of them don't know how to use Google Sheets. Some of them don't know how to create users in their platform. So all this training and onboarding period is very, very important for us to keep generating that trust. And then once they are graduated, as we call, okay, how we can do like monthly touch with them so we can make sure everything is okay, they are using the platform, they don't have struggles. Because if you just leave them on their own forever, they can continue your product using your product, but if there's something wrong, how you're gonna know? There's such a thing that it's called silent sufferers, who is people that just stop using your product, but they never said anything. They just left. Right? There's these other complainers who are calling your customer service like, hey, I have this problem. But sometimes you have silent sufferers. So if you don't do your best to proactively go. And this is even from my roots at Uber, even this big company in Latam, the team I manage, we used to proactively call clients to understand how they were using the product, how we could help them to use it more, and this type of thing. So at the end, not it's something that can't scale. You can find ways to keep it consistently through all the stages in your company, I think. So I love this topic about generating trust with customers.
So before we end this segment, I just have one quick question. Looking back, what is one lesson that you have learned from the startup's early days that still influences how you make decisions today?
Well, one of the main things that as a founder we are normally good known for is we're stubborn. We are dreamers, right? and and you normally are people think we're risk takers, but I don't think we're risk takers. I think we're more like optimistic people. So you don't really see the risk behind, even though it exists. So I think this attitude to make decisions sometimes with cold mind, because just have to do it. Obviously, try to get as much as for information as you can, um, but just do it, right? It's better done than perfect. That's the saying that we have. And obviously, if it's not well done, you have to fix it, but fix it quick. So this sense of urgency in the way we made decisions in early stages, I think sometimes it still helps, um, because then you can get behind. No, the ecosystem, all the competitors or the players are moving really fast, right? So make a decision. Just don't take years to make it. I think that's one of the things that keeps helping as a founder because it's in our ADN. No?
It's really good to hear someone who still appreciates that because personally, I've been scolded so many times by not just my peers, but even if my family is being informed by a decision I'm making in my own terms, they're like, "Why are you being so rushed? And you shouldn't be like that." And but yeah, good to hear somebody.
Well, depending on what's putting uh in your risk, but if it's like at the end of the day, I had a boss who also said like it's don't take everything so personal, and don't take everything that affects you. Just try what your gut tells you, because normally intuition is right. With experience, with information, just take as much as you can, and do it.
You have a competitor named Frubana. Am I pronouncing that right?
They just went out of the market. They just left Mexico and Colombia. It was announced literally 5 days ago, last week. Yeah, that's very interesting. And we received crazy amount of calls from ex-clients, restaurants calling us and saying, "Hey, are you still selling?" Like, no, we announced it. Like, we are just selling. We still have a platform for restaurants that we give out for free. So if they want to use it, it's like an order management. So they generate order purchase orders for their suppliers, and they can request invoices. That's it. Like, it's very simple. It's like a SaaS. They can use it for free, and we built this other. It's like a suppliers it's not suppliers, it's more like supplies directory, where we showcase all our suppliers. But that directory, we as Alima promote it very proactively among the food service and hospitality industry. So it's a way for us to help our suppliers who are paying for the SaaS, um, to push their products, like to being shown and be on their online store. It's a cool project, and it's called it different brand. It's not a Lima, it's Insumos Ya, and yeah, it's going well. It's getting more traction. It's one of those projects that you keep aside and you say one day it's gonna give us something. Like, it's just gonna grow organically. We're optimizing well the site for SEO, and we're gonna start doing some SIM, but beyond that, it's eventually it's gonna give us data points that we can use to build reports for the industry. So it's like more long-term vision. But yeah, it's the other thing we're doing.
Coming back to Alima, how does Alima differentiate itself from its immediate competitors, like the ones you mentioned, the tortilla sellers or Frubana, I guess, before they went out?
For Urbana is actually not a competitor anymore with the new business model. It was a competitor, so it was kind of, this is off the record now. It was kind of bittersweet feeling, because I was like, and we were in the previous model when we were front to front competing with them, but us trying to get big fish and they trying to get small restaurants. I would be extremely happy because then I could eat this part of the market, right? But now it's kind of, oh, poor guys, I feel bad for them. So, um, yeah, like, we don't directly compete because now our bet is more for sell technology for suppliers. They weren't precisely selling technology for suppliers. So yeah, and for the other big kind of competitor is Justo, but Justo is a online. They are call themselves the first and only 100% online supermarket in Mexico. Okay. Um, but they are more oriented to B2C, and we are B2B. So that's the main difference. What we did is actually a partnership with Justo. Why? Because Justo internally has an accelerator for their suppliers. So as we are enabling technology through our SaaS and online stores for suppliers, we talk to them and say, hey, you have a lot of suppliers for your online store, sorry, your online supermarket. So what if we provide those suppliers the technology that we sell so they can become better suppliers for you because everything is better with tech, right? Um, so yeah, that's what we did. We did instead of seeing them as competitors because we're trying to accelerate suppliers is how we become partners. So we are actually launching a partnership this last week with them. So yeah, that's pretty exciting because they are very big in the market. I think they're one of the most recognized startups from the last year because they just started in pandemic. So it was the perfect timing for them. This guy was previously CEO of Cabify. His name is Ricardo Beder. He's a brilliant guy, I think, and he had all the connections with VC. So raising money for him was, I wouldn't say easy because it's not obviously, but like easier than probably to others. He was very well connected. So yeah.
You mentioned technology like has played a special role, like during this competition or even partnerships, like you were just talking about. So apart from just that, there was another aspect that I came upon while I was studying about Alima, that your technology kind of helped reduce food waste within the supply chain. And I would personally want to know, like, what impact has this had on sustainability efforts that the government is putting, or even like a group of startups such as yourselves within the industry have been like, trying to, yeah, get upon.
Yeah, I would like to explain more on that. In the previous model, and which is something that now we envision to transfer to the suppliers that we have as clients, because we were only one supplier and we were able to make the difference in food waste. Imagine what could happen if we as Alima Supply provide all the technology to all the suppliers in Mexico so they can have the same effect. So you multiply the effect, right? So basically, what we did is for produce only because it was our core. The normal waste food is around 8% in the through the chain, but with us it was only around 3%, and that was the implication or what we did to be able to get that point is all the operations we handled. First, it was on time operation. So you had the order at night and you are receiving the product from producers in your warehouse at probably 5 a.m. and you are delivering that same product probably at 8 a.m. So all that time that could in another operation stayed longer and generate waste didn't happen to us because we were on demand, an actual on demand model. We did had a warehouse, but we were not stocking. Everything was very fresh, and we were able, thanks to the volume we were buying, we were able to connect to the producers directly. So more or less 50% of the sales we had were direct from producers. So in that sense, you are able to waste less. So around 3% was the number we reached. I know that players, very big players like Justo, are also working towards this. And the last number I heard from them is 1%. So this is one of the things that all players in the industry should join forces, especially the tech ones, and keep showing to suppliers what are the paths to follow so they can operate in systems that are towards reducing waste food, right? So yeah, it's one of the things that we used to do. Like it's literally fresh. So you can um, you don't have mistakes in demand forecasting on all this because you don't really need it.
And it makes such a huge impact, like with the client base that you already have. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it more than 1,800 now? Like, based on the publicly available data, it says you have over 1,800 registered
Yeah.
clients.
We had actually 3,500 registers in the platform, but that we can't ensure that we delivered probably around 2,000. So yeah, basically all those were people and business owners who trust in Alima to deliver their supplies, and is actually the same network that now we are showing all the suppliers we have as our clients in the new model that I was explaining before. Um, so we are building new databases also using government databases, Google, like all these available and public information. We're grabbing all those, let's say, restaurants as a prospect, so we can engage with them and show the solutions that we have now with the suppliers that we, let's say, back up. So we are kind of representing all that suppliers chains, sorry, not chains, more like community, uh, and we expect to reach way more than that. So only in Mexico there's around 700,000 restaurants subscribed in the government lists. So it's huge opportunity, the one we have to help suppliers that we have in the community to reach all those restaurants. And this is actually the example that we give to our customers right now when we try to sell Alima's supply platform. We say, hey, we were able to reach this amount of customers only having an e-commerce and good service and technology. So if you replicate what we did, you can become even bigger because probably you know what you're doing. You have been in this business, let's say it's meat or fish, forever. Whereas we were just two kids out of tech building a produce business, and we were able to do it. So you could even be better. So that's actually a good sell point for us. And yeah.
What strategies have you found most effective in expanding your customer base? Like you said, it's a huge opportunity based on the list that you have from the government. So, what
Mm.
have you been doing, or what do you plan to do to increase your customer base in such a competitive market?
Yeah. Well, the good thing for us is that um, this fragmentation is good for us because at the end there's a lot of players, there's a lot of suppliers in the market, and we're only talking about food service, right? But what if eventually we would be able to sell to different industries? For instance, we already have, and this is an actual case, a company that is experimenting with our product, but they are in the construction business. Why? Because they just want a system that is easy, let's say a software that is easy to use to generate invoices. They also want to build an online store. So they also want marketing campaigns. So all that is replicable for different industries. I know that our vision is only food service, and our vision is to keep growing there. But there's also other opportunities that probably at this moment we're still not evaluating, but for the future could be possible. Once the product market fit it's proven, which for the new model we are kind of in the middle. So we are growing customer base 50% month over month. We know there's only probably 4 months that we launched, so we're in a very early stage in this moment. But there's a lot of ways to keep growing. Like one is continue doing partnerships with those companies that can have same clients as us. So join forces so we can reach a bigger base. The other thing is keep using these databases that are public in the government, and we can reach the exact. They're called unique unit economic. No, they're called I don't remember the name government gives them, but anyways, they're like businesses that are public listed, and you can easily get into them. Um, and creating all those prospection automated campaigns, keep going to events and expos where the industry is. There's like three main events like very big in the country. One of them is Abastur, other is Exponta. There's different events, and keep connected with key players like cameras and these organizations in the industry that you can keep growing, especially at this moment that is more organic, is more one-on-one, is more keep talking to customers with, because we are still proving product market fit. Once we reach the point of, okay, we have sustainably retained for this amount of months these customers, this means that we have product market fit, then I think we should start thinking on, okay, how we need, maybe with a capital extension, raise sustainable and scalable growth, and also um, what other products we can build on top of the main product we have. Because currently, I just talk about online stores, I talk about invoicing systems, order management for suppliers, but also there's a very interesting space on financial solutions for suppliers. So we have thought, okay, embed a product that is gonna solve the credit needs they have, in partnership with a fintech, and embedding a product, and then have a shared revenue system and business model. And then on top of that, the data that I was telling you, we're at the end of the day collecting a lot of data from prices points in fresh products in different categories that doesn't exist at the moment. There's not historical databases in Mexico that can tell you what are these data set prices for prices. So we can become that information source for big players and enterprise companies that are currently looking at the Central de Abastos database, like very informal sources, not, uh, let's say, digested information where they can have charts reports like in a professional and decent way. So we could also play around creating all those that. Obviously, with some AI solutions. We have in plans as well for the future, creating or embedding AI solutions for generating orders out of WhatsApp or out of emails in the system to generate purchases orders. So yeah, there's different things that we can build on top of that, so you can uh, grow the market size, and you can reach in the long run way more customers.
There has been a significant revenue growth in Alima since January 2022. What do you particularly attribute the success to, and how do you plan to sustain it in the long run?
Yeah, well, we were seeing lastly that the GMB that we have is growing because you incentivize your supplier to use a Lima platform to basically feed the system with all the transactions they do. Because normally they start seeing Alima platform as the supplier's platform as, okay, I have an online store. I can get all my orders here, invoicing all of them in an automatic way. But we try to make them see that it's not only for that, it's for all their sales transactions. So, for instance, if they not only have food service as clients, but they also have retail, they also have houses delivery. So, different channels that they can actually ingest in the platform, it's going to be way more easy for them to handle all their operations, visualize in the dashboards all their sales, tag the products, tag their clients, so they can have personalized reports and see how sellers are doing, like what's the performance of their products. We're gonna be able to also insert cost, so they can also understand what's the operational margin that they have per product, so they can actually see all their business running with an Alima supply platform. So basically, that's what we need to continue doing, because the more transactions they ingest in Alima, the more data we have, the more GMB we have, and the more they retain because they depend more on our platform. It's like, yeah, they more depend more on our platform to, handle their business and to run their business. So that's what we need to do in order to increase GMB. And in order to increase revenue is just continue increasing the ticket, right? So the ticket can be increased by, let's do like more personalized reports, but that's also an understanding from your product. Like they have to understand that with your product you can ask for specialized reports or personalized reports and they can have it. So our add-ons, the same things I was telling you, like fintech solutions embedded and data industry reports for enterprise. Also, the more we get to big players as big suppliers, the better the AOV is for us, right? Because an enterprise, you can charge way more than a small supplier that is just starting their business. So, in the same way that we organically grew in the Alima 1.0 model, where we started with small restaurants, just to proving the product, just to, knowing the market, and then the more confident we felt with the product, the more we were tackling big fishes and we got them. The same thing we're doing here with Alima Supply. So now we already have a couple of big clients and they're very big players. And obviously, the ticket we can have from them are way more attractive. So also targeting or unlocking another tier of customers is going to give us, a good hint for us to continue growing exponentially, right?
So before we talk about the future of Alima, there's this one thing I just wanted to get off my chest. Something I appreciate more than anything. You said during hiring, you try to look for people that are more talented than you, people who can challenge you to be a good leader. And that shows with Alima growing. Both you and Jorge, they have been these excellent examples of leadership within the startup ecosystem. So, how do you ensure your personal growth as a leader, and what resources or practices have you found invaluable during this experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think the main challenge in this sense of being a founder is you don't have anyone, aka a manager, telling you you're doing a great job or giving you feedback on what you could do better. So the best thing you can have is a co-founder giving you honest feedback and you try to action on that feedback. So that's one of the practices that I've always had. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. Like you have to be always open to receive feedback, but also to ask for feedback. Sometimes I forget, but it's something that I try to do as much as I can because it's the only way that you actually grow. And it could be only perceptions, but if you actually have constructive feedback in the way that the person that is giving the feedback to you is able to tell you clearly what's the impact that this action you took and what was the consequence, the SAO model that I used to had in my previous working experience. I still use it: situation, action, outcome. It's like yeah, maybe like a practice that I try to keep following, and yeah, I keep asking for the team. What else? I really like target setting. Not because there's uncertainty, not because you are at a startup and you don't really have super, super clear goals or ways to measure or to define those goals. That doesn't mean that you don't have a North Star. That doesn't mean that you should not prioritize, right? You should always prioritize. So one thing that we have is always like a planning session on Mondays where we have really clear what are like we all obviously do the task by task kind of exercise, but the other thing that we do is, okay, what's the goal of the week? What we want to make out of this week? What's the most important thing that if it's not done, we're screwed, right? Like this drastic. So you can always have a North Star, even though it's qualitative, quantitative, but something that is going to tell you what you have to achieve by the end of the month. by the end of the week. I think it's super important, and always at the end you always have an incentive or something to towards like to work towards too. Um, so yeah, that's I think that's are some of the practices. I really like keep learning and talking with others, like peers, mentors, these type of things in both ways. I like to talk to younger people in their career. I like to talk actually just 2 days ago I talked to a brilliant Columbia graduated, and she's amazing, trying to build a new like a startup, and telling me her idea. And I always learn from these experiences because I have fresh ideas that I can even take for my own company. Um, or the other way around, like people that I consider can give me a piece of advice. For instance, in my case, moms that are in startups, like leading a high impact company, something like that. It's like an inspiration and a source of inspiration that I always find very valuable because there's not too many in Mexico, to be honest, like me, that are moms that are running companies that have professional and personal goals, that sometimes time is never enough, like the amounts of hours that the day has are not enough to do all what you have to do. You always feel this guilty feeling of not being all day with your children, and these type of things that you struggle as a like a mother. I mean, at this, well, it's not a YC group. It's like entrepreneurial community called VC backed moms, and but there's not a Mexican girl over there. It's only I think Americans and Europeans, maybe some Latinas there. But yeah, sometimes you feel there, you find there pieces of advice or inspiration. So at the end, all that is self growth, right? Self development, and there's one last thing that I like to share, that from Uber there is this, it's not a mantra, but it's like a cultural thing they have, where they say you drive your growth. And at the beginning you can think, this is because they don't want to handle with my career growth. They are not willing to give me training, but this actually all the it's all the opposite. Is they are empowering you to be responsible and owner of how far you want to go. So if you want to grow, you find your own mentorships, you find your own special projects on what you work, you want to work to develop, let's say, additional skills that you don't consider you are very strong at. You expose yourself and you push yourself to appear in public speaking or anything that you want to develop. Like, you are responsible, so you have to take control over that. And because it's very easy to blame your manager because, oh, my manager is not giving me a development career. Shouldn't be your manager, it should be you, and your manager is that person that is going to help you, and to get that closer, like faster. But you should be the one defining what you want. You should be the one finding the opportunities and exposing yourself to practice and living that opportunity and be on the stop. And obviously, it's going out of the comfort zone, but it's something that you have to do it as much as you can. In my case, for instance, is events. I don't really feel comfortable going to events or engaging with the strangers. I'm kind of extrovert, but shy extrovert. So it's difficult sometimes, break the ice. But once I'm there, I'm enjoying a lot. And I always out of these events full of energy, new ideas, networking, new connections. So I really appreciate those things. But yeah, it's always you pushing yourself to go further.
Uh, just one last thing, like this can be off the record as well. You said you're kind of strict, so what's the dynamic between you and your team in regards to the strictness that you can bring, to the table?
Yeah. Um, I think it's discipline, and I'm obsessed with results and times management, but obsessed to a point that probably could be annoying for the team sometimes. In my previous experiences working in different companies or building another team, another companies, had a previous um, startup before this one, more. not as tech as this one, more traditional business. But yeah, I really like to have scorecards. I'm obsessed with the scorecards, so I always use them on a monthly or weekly basis with the team. I think it's more on a monthly basis where you can actually have the enough time to give the people to reach to a goal. So to measure that metric, let's say, is conversion versus the last month, and see how many percentage points you are up or down and why, and double click on that and have always an explanation and an action plan if it was down, and an action plan if it was up, because then you cannot go down. So that's the discipline that I'm talking about. And but that has helped me because really creates this culture where you can have people being disciplined, people being order, having order, seeing at the same numbers, being on the same page. Because you can think you're doing well, you can say, yeah, we're doing well. You can say, yeah, we're not doing that well. What that means to us, and Jorge probably is my co-founder, he's like me in that sense. Nothing is more clear than numbers, right? So we just set those scorecards and we evaluate them week over week, and we set plans. So probably if you're working with people that it's not like you, that's gonna be too much and overwhelming for them. So that's the type of thing that sometimes maybe they kind of struggle working with us. But at the end, I'm a stronger believer of that. And also in terms of time management, if I can save a minute or a second by doing something different, I'm gonna do it, because as a mother, I try to be as productive as I can from 8 to 6. So then I can be with her from 6 to 8, and then again from 8 until I go bed. But but yeah, to find new and productive ways to do it without really being like looking for productivity tips. Productivity, it's not like that. It's not like I'm trying to enroll myself in productivity courses. It's not something that comes organically to me. But when I just realized that I found in somehow that if I do it in this way, I'm faster and I'm more effective, I'm just take that route. It's like it comes with my nature to be like practical, fast person, a doer, executor. So yeah, it's those type of things that I do, and I like to work with people that is like that.
Quick question: who is more stricter, you or Jorge, in towards your team, at least?
I think he would say he's more, and I would say I'm more. I think we just have different styles, you know. I'm more, you know, packing the agendas with one-on-ones and wanting to talk to people more often, and more in a communication type of way. And he's more in a remote type of way, but he's very, he could be very annoying when he needs a result fast and he's not getting it. He could even do your job if you didn't deliver it fast enough, right? It's like, okay, let's do this. And if this person did not set the target, it's okay, I did it myself. Let's go for the next thing. It's like, so, it's different styles, but at the end, I think we both are very intense. We both are very, committed. I think we committed with the plan we have. So now the mindset is, no matter what is going to take you or how long you are going to work, you just have to get this done, right? If the learning as is that you shouldn't put it in plan because it's more of what you can deliver, you're just going to do it better in the next planning. But if you already committed with finishing these different activities or tasks, the mentality here is just get it done.
But yeah, AI is a crazy thing. Like the way it has come up within, like the last few months, not if not the last few years. Like I personally was following OpenAI since 2019. I had a chance. I somehow came across because Sad to say this, but yeah, I am a keen observer of the activities that Elon Musk takes part in. So yeah, when he was earlier, associated with them. In any case, to begin the next segment, I would rather keep the continuity and ask, how do you see AI shaping the future of Alima and the food service supply chain?
Well, this is something that we have discussed internally, not only for the sake of saying, let's do it because it's a new thing, everyone is doing it, but from the point of view of our customers and our suppliers, like how they could benefit from it. What would be the best way we could develop something around AI and help them? So the most obvious thing that came to our mind is for order setting, right? So right now, in the moment that you have the platform, you have two ways to receive an order. One, through the e-commerce. Two, through your seller placing an order, basically internally in the system. But what happened before this seller placed an order? So he received a WhatsApp message, he received an email, he probably had a phone call, but especially for WhatsApps and emails and everything that is in text, we think that what we could do is a way in which our supplier can, let's say, take a screenshot of that and upload it into the platform, and then we can create suggested order already done, and you avoid the time that is spending on capturing all this information. Sometimes I'm telling you that there's orders because are from restaurants that could be, I don't know, like 20 minutes, a person just setting the order. So all that time could save and actually be used to have more prospects or to have more sales in general. So that's one of the things that could be too small and too obvious and too tactical, but it's the thing that we may start with using AI. And but there's like plenty of use cases that I can imagine going in the industry. I don't know, from chefs trying to find and help with new recipes and help with, uh, I don't know, like robots or things that are programmed by different, let's say, prompts now on how be more creative on the kitchen. I don't know if maybe for suppliers receiving orders, right? Like all these virtual assistants on, instead of talking to an actual seller, why you don't just talk to a virtual assistant? For supply chain should be also use case that probably are being already developed. So even the fintechs and the embedded fintech solutions that we could have are also creating AI opportunities to get access or evaluate your credit resolution, or like application resolution faster, things like that. I don't know. I think are many ways and use cases, even in the side of the e-commerce, like all the pictures from the e-commerce, you don't necessarily need to spend on a photographer taking all the pictures of the products that you sell in the online store, but you can, or we could embed Alima with Dali or something like that, so they could artificially create the images exactly how they want. So I think that would be very handy for them. And all the design of the store and all that look and feel also could be generated through AI tools that don't necessarily mean an incremental cost. I wonder how, for instance, community managers could be substituted by AI and having someone running your ads, someone creating your arts, all that, because all the suppliers and all the restaurants, they're based on food, right? And food is very visual. So all these visual AI tools and social network are becoming very important for them in terms of AI. So yeah, even though AI adoption in Mexico in traditional, let's say, companies, it's not having the adoption level that is having for startups. Are precisely the startups the ones who are gonna start, you know, playing the game, I would say, and introducing in the market. For instance, my dad is a heavy user of ChatGPT. He's always, using all these and reading about a lot of B2B e-commerce. I think by now, 80% of people in procurement teams are millennials, right? So millennials are used to buy online. I have more digital habits. So probably are also AI users that are going to start expecting some kind of solution in the AI spectrum for what they do, what they, like for their procurement process.
You're talking about communication. That just reminded me of this article. I guess I came across today itself. So it's about a Swedish company, a startup rather, called Klarna. They laid off some 700 employees who were involved in customer response and basically your executives, right? And they saved some 10% of their whole revenue, which is kind of a big margin when it comes to startups, right? So Alima, as you said, is B2B, and there would be times when someone have an issue with something and they would, like rather talk to a customer executive. Do you see Alima going in that direction, like replacing AI or a chatbot to do that kind of a job?
Hmm. That's an interesting question. I don't think I see it, Alima, right now happening, and especially for the market. You even yourself mentioned this happened in Sweden. So I honestly don't think Mexico is quite there. Probably we're gonna start with the basics of technology and probably AI use cases. Where I probably see that happening is more in the customer service spectrum, that actually I don't see a lot of space in the food service industry. It's not an industry that it's a heavy user or customer service, let's say BPOs. But for instance, I come from Uber, I come from Amazon, where they actually hire big companies with a lot of agents or reps taking customer support tickets, which represents an important cost, or let's say, uh, yeah, like a cost of their P&L to pay these companies to solve the customer problem. So I would think more in those type of industries where actually you can handle with a lot of customer support or customer tickets. But in B2B and in such a in-person relationship industry, I don't think that as a threat, and I don't think Alima as a solution provider in that sense. Or maybe there's something I'm not seeing right now. Um, but yeah, I think I see more ourselves on how we can be the reference in the industry for everything what comes about supplies, um, in the industry, like for food service and hospitality. Why? Because normally talking to restaurants, they are very busy. They don't really have time to find new suppliers. So what they do is they get one, it's not that bad, and they stay with it. Just because they don't have the time to handle with different, they don't with different but they don't have the time to find and to look and to prospect new suppliers. That's the thing. Uh, they don't really have reports available in the industry on what's the evolution of the price of certain supplies. So yeah, I see more ourselves on that space, and everything what we could do with AI to help them find in an easiest way their supplies and contact their potential suppliers easier. That's where I see us more.
So we've been talking about local expansion a lot, and of course there must have been plans discussed within Alima itself. Like, where do you guys see yourself expanding next? Whether it be the North American countries like US, Canada, or maybe the Latin countries like Brazil, Argentina, or Peru?
Yeah, in terms of the geographical expansion, I think LATAM is the obvious thing. One thing we need to understand very well before going into each market, because it's not all the same, not because we all speak Spanish, right? Um, Especially because like a core competitive advantage we have at the moment is the local invoicing system because it's automated, but we would have to understand what's required for each LATAM country in terms of their tax government entity. So we could connect the platform with that. I think it's going to be easy. It's nothing that we can't do, but we need to understand also how's the market commercially speaking, like how's the how fragmented is the industry. It's also similar to Mexico, but we would need to understand nuances first. We would also need to become very solid in Mexico before going to other countries. But yeah, definitely in terms of language, makes sense going more to Colombia, Peru, and then eventually for the market size, Brazil. It's obviously super attractive. It's a very big country. They are um, very advanced in terms of technology adoption and, for instance, digital payments, all these. So probably that's more where we would like to go. Um, yeah, before expand to other countries. We have actually a couple of clients that are not from Mexico, that are Americans, and it's in some way easier to work with them because they are more tech savvy, more used to work with online and self-service platforms and softwares. So would be some interesting experiment for us to run, maybe try to enter in one, let's say, more advanced country, because probably adoption is faster, but in the other way, probably there's way more competitors, right? So we would need to understand first the field and understand the market before making the decision. And in terms of expansion, but also the expansion of the current product, yeah, as I said, something to do more with financial solutions, something to do more with analytics and AI. And then once that product is super solid and we're super well positioned in Mexico, then it's going beyond. But yeah, Latam would be first.
So I heard you talking about tech savvy people that are easier clients, and previously we were even talking about like how millennials, particularly our generation, they are heading towards ordering everything online, and at least in India, there's a culture that which I have particularly observed that children they take over their parents' business at some point of the time, especially in restaurants and even established markets like that. So, do you see yourself expanding and reaching more on social media? And how do you plan to play it out in the near future?
Yeah, that's very, very interesting point and has been always a debate internally. Uh, we never really tried, for instance, paid marketing, but we know a lot of startups in B2B, in Mexico and in Latam, that they run media ads on social media, and is actually a good source for leads. So we probably should have tried before in the previous model. We didn't really give the opportunity to grow through social media because we thought the on-field commercial team we had, it was way more effective. Why? Because they visited a person in their restaurant, they showed the Alima app, and they closed an order straight there. So there is no advertising that could be able to replicate exactly that. So we bet on, okay, let's do it this way. uh, but now for the new model, we are actually evaluating social media because it's a product that it's totally digital, totally online. There's no physical things like or service level in terms of logistics that we have to reach, and it's not a physical business. It's an online business 100%. So we think right now make more sense. We need to figure out how to find these decision makers there, and see how effective are. So we're going to start with some experiments. Uh, but I think the more these people are taking the businesses, that is people that come from more millennial or digital backgrounds, makes way more sense to try to catch them and get their attention, at least just to have a WhatsApp message, or just to have like a very first approach, not to convert but to generate leads. Makes more sense, definitely. So yeah, that's something that we will definitely.
Yeah, even sometimes these guys they have a network of their own being in the industry, and even like you just said, like if it's a WhatsApp broadcast or even some kind of social media presence, it maybe stays in the back of their head, and later because Alima is going in a really well good direction, so word of mouth can come in handy in that kind of network which I mentioned. In yeah, in either case, let's talk about what's next for Alima. So, Alima Supply is here. And what new features and benefits can suppliers and distributors expect from this platform?
Well, I think what we really want is make their life easier. And we, before developing this second product, let's say, we talk a lot to there. Also, we have our own experience. We know what worked, we know what didn't, and we came with a MVP. Now it's an actual product, like a complete product working, but we're still having in the roadmap some features that we want to add, because we know it's something that is going to help them. So I'm going to start for what we currently have. So first you have obviously your online store that we set for you, where from one day to another you suddenly have a new sales channel. So that's amazing. Obviously within the platform they can handle all their clients, they can handle um, orders, catalog, price list. Price list is a feature that it's very helpful for them, because when you are a supplier in B2B for food service, you normally do not sell the same price to all clients. It's not like B2C that you just have one price. It's like, if you're going to buy more volume, I'm going to give you a better price, right? So all those differentiated prices, we can traduce it in a price list that you set in the platform. So we give that benefit to them. So each time a customer comes to their account to buy a product to you, they see the prices that you set for him particularly or her particularly. So that's a benefit that they have with this specific platform. Then what I really love, because I've seen how they appreciate this feature, is the automatic invoice. With the automatic invoice, basically they don't have to do anything. So for more context, when you have to generate an invoice in Mexico, you have to either go to the government system, the software, or going into uh, invoicing supplier, which is like an external software that you have to, uh, you know, write down item by item and then generate an invoice. Could be very time consuming, this process for suppliers. So what we did is, once you set up an order, either if it was from the online store or it was from the seller, the seller that placed it in the software, then you automatically have your invoice generated, and it's obviously being notified to the customer. You don't have to do anything. The customer already have their invoice in their inbox. So that's it. And also, as a supplier, every time you got an order, you get a WhatsApp, because we know that sometimes you don't have time to be all the time in your computer or checking what's going on your email. Like, open rates for emails in Mexico are really bad. So WhatsApp is the most handy thing for them. So we notified every process, or every step in the funnel. We notify them. They are able to edit orders, cancel orders, confirm them, and then deliver. And all these steps are being notified as well to the customer. Finally, we have all the what we call conciliation, payments conciliation, which is you can match when your order was paid by your customer, and you can upload the bank deposit that they gave you. Like normally in B2B systems in Mexico, they don't want to pay commissions to payments processors. So they almost don't use credit card to pay. They like to use direct transfers in the banks. So what we enabled is a way for them to keep using these direct transfers, but in a more like in an easier way. Finally, we have reports. These reports is what I was telling you before, that it's something that we think it's a given because we're, people who have worked with data and reports all our careers, but not especially for them. They sometimes don't have reports. They don't have Excel sheets, or they have Excel sheets that are very basic. So here it's everything on real time because it's on the cloud. It's on real time, and they can see when a sale came. They already it's included in the dashboard, so they can see all the dashboards and all the sales breakdown by, I don't know, client, product, distribution center. Like all these reports and information are here, and they also are able to ask to Alima personalized reports that we kind of build in batches, and we kind of build and then sell personalized. But we have, let's say, a library of pre-worked reports that we can use, and it's scalable for us. um, and that give us a higher ticket, obviously, month per month. So on top of this, what we currently have, we're working on inventory, and for the future is logistics, what is coming. So a lot of people think or have gave the feedback of in order to make a more robust platform for Alima Supply, we should include inventory management, cost structures, um, so they can actually have like a semi P&L, or at least see their margins and also see their stocks and inventories. So we're building that, and also the logistics part. So where we were running Alima 1.1, we developed an algorithm to set up a more optimized route, so the drivers take less time to do all the delivery process, and are well drawn these all these routes in the map. And then there's this system where they can track in real time where the order is, so the client is not calling all the time to the supplier, where's my order, where's my order? Because they can be this intense because it's to start their operation. So in the map, they can actually see and track how's their order, how's coming, like how far is, and all these. And the order and the on time metric that I was telling you before, that became very important for us in order to set a decent service level, can be start being measured by the suppliers that we have as clients right now. So those are the kind of new features that we come. Obviously, the AI thing, the payment or financial solutions that we want to embed, because they all are asked for credits, so they have to lend basically money to the final client. But we know these days there's a lot of BNPL startups that can help them if we have partnership with them. So yeah, that's what's coming for Alima Supply. The bet now it's help suppliers and distributors in the industry.
Congratulations on the very fantastic product that you guys are working on. So, looking ahead, what legacy do you hope Alima will leave in the food service industry? And what steps are you taking today to achieve that particular vision?
Well, I think the most important thing is don't fool ourselves, like in the sense that we need to be very open to trends. We need to be very open to what's the market dictating, so then we can take every opportunity um, to develop something and build something to serve our customers, right? At the end of the day, they are the final let's say, entity that is gonna dictate what we should do and how we should frame our future. So I would say the take we should always the step we should always take is keep listening our customers, keep talking to them, keep taking their feedback seriously, even if this is something that you don't want to hear. Sometimes, as a founder, hits you on the ego, like they tell you something that you built, something that you spend a lot of time building is not working. They don't like it. They don't find it interesting or fun at all, but the opposite. But then they also give you always, you know, signs of what you have to build, signs of what they love. There's nothing more fulfilling than receiving like good feedback from a client on how your product is transforming their operations. It's transforming the way they can run their business, and how they can have more time now to focus on their core, which is, I don't know, producing coffee or importing cheese or I don't know, whatever they are doing in their business. So I think that's one thing. The other thing is, hear what other startups are also doing around, and understand what else in the startup ecosystem exists for us to partner with, leverage with. Like, you don't have to build everything yourself. There's a lot of things and tools and partners that you can find out there in the ecosystem, and that you kind of talk the same language. So always keep open, because as a founder, it's very tempting, like go back to work and be super focused and fill your agenda and your day with your product and your customer and all that. But also, don't lose perspective on what's happening in the startup ecosystem. Where's the money going to from VC? Because if we want to scale and we pretend to have a big round, what's needed on, or what's are the blocks we have to build before going there? And this is something that we always have in mind. If there's not enough market for you to ask for VC money, how you are going to ask for it? So prepare the foundations and prepare and settle everything and have your startup ready to scale and to actually accomplish that vision, right? I think that's also something really important. So keep us very honest with us, evaluating our performance, evaluating the opportunities we have, uh, envision business models that are sustainable for the future and VC backable or not, because also being a bootstrap company, it's not bad. Even I was hearing the other day a podcast from Dalton and Michael from YC, and they were like, there's nothing wrong with being a bootstrap company. Not always you have to go for VC, or you can be bootstrap for a while and then go to VC. Anyways, these are other topics. I don't want to deviate a lot from what you asked, but yeah, I think that are some of the steps that we as a company are taking, that hopefully are gonna bring us to what we see in the future for us.
Thank you for answering all my questions, no matter how dumb they sounded. And again, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here. And it was really great having you over. And I'm pretty sure this episode can inspire not just people in Mexico, but people all over the world who are maybe either working in the HoReCa industry, or like even trying to just get their startup off the ground. So, on behalf of the whole UCN team, thank you so
You.
much.
Thank you very much to all the team. It's amazing experience working with you guys. Such a young people, very inspirational also, doing a great job and have such a passion as you have for doing what you are doing. So thank you for having the time to featuring startups like us, and hopefully we can continue working together in the future. Thanks for the invitation.
And with that, we have come to the end of our episode. We'll be back with more delightful anecdotes, crisp insights, and invaluable advice. So thank you for tuning in. We release our episodes on all podcast friendly platforms on Wednesdays and Saturdays. I look forward to catching up with you guys at the next one. So, alright, this is where we phone it in, metaphorically speaking, of course. Don't forget to subscribe to us for more updates and tidbits about our episodes. You can catch more content around the episodes, such as behind the scenes and bloopers, by following us in the links placed somewhere around here. So, ciao.